Greetings viewers, and thank you for tuning in to today's ETCG1 video. And here in ETCG1 we start things off with, hey, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. Please enjoy this digital cake. Today's topic, the Hondas I don't like. Those of you that have followed me know that I've been a Honda technician for, well, I was a professional Acura technician for 8 years, and I worked on Hondas most of my professional career. I'd say I've got a good 20 years into working on Hondas, let's put it that way. And my second car was actually a 1979 Honda Accord, which falls under like a good Honda in my mind. But sometimes I have these discussions with my son and I talk about, you know, or some people ask me, hey Eric, what do you think of this car? Or what do you think of this car? When we're talking about Hondas. And there are certain Hondas that I absolutely love, and there are other Hondas that I just do not like. I'm just gonna fire this one off right out of the gate. I'm not a fan of the S2000. Yep, that's right, I said it. I'm not a fan of the S2000. I've driven them, and I'm not saying it's a bad car, but this is kind of where I'm coming from on this. When the S2000 came out, they took away my Type R, they took away the NSX, the OG NSX, they took away the Prelude, they took away the Del Sol, and they gave me an S2000. I felt slighted. To me, an S2000 is a Miata with a long front end. And I'm not saying a Miata is a bad car either. I'm not saying that at all. But that was one of the things that I personally couldn't get past with that car. I kind of have this problem with older Corvettes too. Something about having a long front end on a car doesn't really appeal to me. And it's just me, this is an opinion thing. And if you've got an S2000, I'm not hating on you or anything like that. My good friend Jason Fensky used to have one. In fact, it was parked right here in this shop for a minute. Point is, you know, I get the love that people have for the S2000, but I never felt it. In fact, I felt at that point in time in Honda history, like I said, they got rid of some of my favorite models that they ever made, and they were in some ways never to be seen again. And in my opinion, like after that mark, Honda's changed quite a bit. I will also say this, and I know this is gonna fire some people up. I am not a fan of the RSX. I never was. They took away my Integra, and that was something else they took away. They took away my Integra also in that list of cars that I talked about. But they took away my Integra and they gave me an RSX. My main beef with the RSX, I mean, a lot of people would say, well, it's got a K-Series, you know, it's a better engine, better setup. No, to me, the suspension on the RSX compared to what they had on the Integra and the Civic, a Civic has a better suspension on it in my mind. That's just my, when they switched to McPherson strut like they did with the RSX, I was not happy. I was like, you guys just cheaped out. And then I did my first clutch on one and realized you had to drop the subframe in order to get the transmission out, and I was really not in love. And I was kind of happy that that car didn't stick around for too long. So, not a fan of the RSX. So, the RSX and the S2000 I am not a fan of. Those are two Hondas I do not like. I also have a deep-seated loathing for the 1999 through 2003 Acura TL. In fact, I went so far as to do a write-up on those cars. At the Acura dealership, I was putting in 2, sometimes 3 transmissions in those cars a day. Yes, I got to that point. And sometimes those transmissions went in twice. That was only one of the problems with that car. The rotors on those cars warped habitually. The CD changers sucked. The front wheel bearings went bad quite often. There were some trim issues. I remember when those cars first came out, and we had one in the well, the area at the dealership where they would deliver cars. The salesman would say, you know, here's the car, I'm introducing you to all the features. And it was somewhat embarrassing to us technicians because we're supposed to inspect all these cars when they come off the truck for a pre-delivery inspection. Well, the salesman hit the button for the panic to, you know, show the alarm, and the car just sat there and went, It turns out they had an issue with the ground connection on one of the horns, and it made it sound, you know, what I was doing was not far off from how it actually sounded. And for me, you know, brand new car in 1999, for it to take off like that, you know, right out of the gate of just making this whippy noise, to me was the embodiment of what that car was. Now, the 6 speeds I didn't have as much of a problem with, but they still had the problems with the rotors and all the other kind of things that I listed. In fact, I'll post a link in the description to that forum post that I made because, like I said, there's a litany of things on those cars that would just go bad. And for me, that was like the turning point for Honda. Before that, all I was doing was maintenance work, you know? It was pretty easy. But then, you know, the TL came out and I actually had to work, and I got pretty good at taking transmissions in and out, as I mentioned. For me, there was a golden era for Honda. that sort of ended around 1999, 2000-ish, you know, when these cars were new. And they were the last gasp in my mind. And I'm not saying that the Hondas of today aren't cool and aren't good, because, you know, the way I see it, they've kind of come around. In fact, I really like my 2008 TL. I think that's a good car. I think it's a far cry away from the 99 through 03. And I'm sorry if you have one of those and you absolutely love that car. I know there's some people out there that do. Good for you. I'm not hating on you. I'm hating on the car, okay? Not you and your love for the car. You're cool, all right? We're cool. But I never thought much of that car. And I come from the world where I've had what was it, 93? I think it was a 93 or 94 Legend Coupe. And I'm sorry I don't remember the exact year. I just know Legend Coupe 6-speed. That was one of the finest automobiles I think they ever made. I think this Type R is one of the best handling cars I've ever driven, just period. The original NSX. Absolutely loved driving that car at speed, but it had absolutely nothing from stoplight to stoplight, like down low, nothing. In fact, I think we had a customer come in and complain because they got completely dusted by a Corvette at a stoplight one time. And it's no surprise, you know, to me, but I would take that NSX on any autocross course against that Corvette, and I know it would get destroyed in the process. The Corvette, that is, not the NSX. But I thought the NSX was a great handling car. But for me, I just love the way this car handles. I mean, I chuck it into the corners. I am so happy to have it. I mean, I know I've gushed about it before and all that, but to me, this was one of the high watermarks, the Type R. And even this one, the 2000s and 2001s, weren't as good as the 97s and 98s. The 98 being the creme de la creme of Type Rs, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there. But those are some Hondas that I did not like. Oh, and some early Preludes, wasn't too happy about working on those. And you know, I'm going back to like the carbureted versions and sometimes with the four-wheel steering. Prelude was kind of an experiment for Honda. They did a lot of experimental things that came out on that model. Some of them were better than others. I had a 94 with an H22 in it, and that's basically the Honda Accord engine, the 2.2 liter with a dual overhead cam VTEC cylinder head on it. And that car moved. That was the best, that was the torquiest four-cylinder Honda that I ever drove. And it was a 5-speed car. That thing would flat out fly. I love that thing. I'd still have it today if I wasn't broke and needed to buy food. I would still have that car. I like the way it looked, everything. People were like, wow, that's a girl's car. No, I didn't think so. I liked the way it looked. I liked the way it performed. I really enjoyed that Prelude. But go back to like, I don't know, like early 80s or so Preludes, or you know, late 80s Preludes when they were sort of on the cusp of doing fuel injection and carburation. Some of those sort of rubbed me the wrong way, mainly because they were difficult to work on, they were quirky, and had some weird problems. But you know, and pop-up headlights, was never a huge fan of pop-up headlights on anything, if I'm honest. Those are the Hondas that I'm not too fond of. Well, what did we start with? We started with the S2000, the RSX, the 99 through 03 TL, really dislike those things. Anyway, I threw a bunch of information at you, and I'm sure you're ready to hit the keyboard down in the comments, and I appreciate it when you do that, so go for it. Tell me why I'm wrong, tell me why I'm right, tell me what you like and what you don't like. That's what we do here at ETCG1. We talk about stuff, we have discussions. Let's see where this one takes us. If you have automotive questions, I ask you head to ericthecarguy.com. That will be linked in the description along with anything else that's useful or related to this video. So check the description if you have questions, including automotive ones. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video with the world. Appreciate it when you do that. No, I really, really do. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty, and I will see you next time. Next week, next Monday. That's when ETCG1 videos come out. See you then.